This is MuggleCast, your Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts podcast covering everything about J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World. Welcome to MuggleCast episode 303. Eric, Micah, and I are here this week. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
We're in the final countdown here before Fantastic Beasts opens in theaters. We're less than a month away.
So
Wow.
that explains it, right? Why they made an announcement that they're going to split this movie into... Oh, no, sorry. They're going to make 5 movies. They're not going to split this into 5 parts. I'm sorry.
We
It's
should
late, guys.
We should start a rumor that they're splitting the little teeny weeny book that J.K. Rowling wrote into 5 movies.
Mm-hmm.
That would upset people greatly. Anyway, we are going to be talking about this major news that Fantastic Beasts is the start of a 5-part film series. It was an interesting day to hear that announcement. J.K. Rowling announced it at a fan event, and I think we all have a lot of thoughts on it, and we are going to get those later. But there's other stuff to talk about this week. First of all, just wanted to give a shout out to the listeners I saw at LeakyCon and those who attended the panel there. Thank you to everybody who did. It was nice meeting a few of you, including a couple of our patrons.
Oh, cool.
Wearing their shirts.
Nice.
Their new shirts.
What all fun did you get up to there?
Oh, well, I drank with friends, but I also did 2 panels related to theorizing in Harry Potter these days, how it's evolved. And another panel with Melissa from the Leaky Cauldron and a couple others about where the early days of the fandom, reliving some memories there, some big moments in fandom.
Your glory days, shall we say, Andrew?
The glory days, sure, Micah, sure.
You're a Bruce fan.
I know.
Glory days.
And you met... Wait, no. Can I just ask, since the last time we recorded, didn't you meet Bruce Springsteen?
This is true.
What?
Have you noticed a change in my tone? I am a happier person. He released a book recently, his biography, and I met him at a book event, and it was amazing. I had a wonderful time, got a picture with him, got a signed book, and I told him how much I love him. So it was a great time.
Aw.
Did he reciprocate?
Well, what do you mean? That
Andrew
he loves
got his
my
number.
book and...
Yeah.
We did hug, and he reciprocated the hug, so that was
there
nice.
you go.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's really nice.
And I will say, of any friend's post that I've seen over the years, excluding like posts that you see made by corporations, that was probably the most liked post that I've seen on Facebook from a friend.
Well,
It got a lot of likes.
If you've been following Andrew, you know how this man is his hero.
Exactly, and I think that's why it got so many likes, and that meant a lot to me that so many people were, I assume, happy for me. So
Yeah.
that was really nice.
Jealous.
Well, you should know because now there's the angry emoji like, right? That you can do on
Right.
Facebook. Did anybody click
No,
that?
it was just a lot of likes and a lot of hearts, so
Yeah.
that was good.
I think I put a heart.
Anyway,
Yep.
LeakyCon was good fun. They're going to be doing it again next year over in Scotland.
I thought it was Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah,
Whatever it is.
Dublin, wherever Dublin is, where they keep Dublin.
You're going to get us in trouble now.
Colin Farrell's
Because
hometown.
people are going to write in, they're going to say they're not the same. So
I'm the
we are
dumb
aware of
American
that.
who doesn't know them apart. Thank you for correcting me.
I think it's
Micah.
exciting that LeakyCon will be in Ireland, though, because I've always wanted to visit that country. I always wanted to visit Scotland, too. Maybe I'll do a whole tour thing.
Well, and speaking of what we've been up to in fandom, Eric, you attended one of those Harry Potter IMAX showings that happened.
I did. I didn't think I was going to get to one, as I said on the last episode, but it turned out that I had a Monday night free slot open up, and I went to a 9:45 p.m. showing, which means the movie started at 9:45 p.m. of Sorcerer's Stone on a Monday night. And so,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, at 6:30 that night, so earlier, like right before the first movie, they played Chamber of Secrets. So I don't really know what the whole schedule thing was like. It looked weird to me when I first looked at it, but I picked the movie I wanted to see. I went and saw it, and seeing the first movie again, guys, I have to tell you, in IMAX or even just on the big screen, 15 years after seeing it for the first time was very special. And I think, as some of our patrons commented, I did a little post on Patreon, with some immediate thoughts, but people really, agree, that it's great to see Potter back. It was really nice that they were able to do this in IMAX, no less, and that actually a lot of patrons were saying they noticed things that they didn't notice before, in all of the films. And specifically in movie 1, Neville's pajamas apparently have little bears on them, which are not little when you see them in IMAX. But yeah,
that's cool.
Cool stuff like that. So I was very happy that I got to see the first film, and it just happened that the timing worked out. But
yeah,
I hope they do this again.
I wish I was traveling that week. Otherwise, I probably would have went to one. I would have loved to have seen one of the first 2 movies for that reason, seeing them on the giant IMAX screen and noticing the little things like teddy bears on Neville's pajamas. But cool, yeah, hopefully they do it again. I would not be shocked if they do some sort of marathon thing in theaters next month leading up to Fantastic Beasts. So you would start watching Harry Potter 1 on November 15th or something, and then they would just play the next 7 movies nonstop, and then you get Fantastic Beasts at 10 p.m. on November 17th or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've seen the Potter films showing up again on Freeform, which was ABC Family. And it's always weird to me now that you can tell the movie that HBO has the rights to at the time, because, for example, they'll do a whole marathon, and I think last week or a couple weeks ago, Order of the Phoenix was just randomly missing. And it's we'll just skip over that movie and go straight from Goblet of Fire to Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah. Well, the reason they do that is because, have we spoken about this before? Because HBO has one of the movies at any given time. Yeah. So it is awkward that they can't play off the movies. But what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Now they're all owned by AT&T, or soon to be. So
soon to be, if that deal goes through. Yes.
Oh man.
Well, but NBC bought the television rights to Harry Potter stuff, right? So shouldn't that all be moving to Freeform soon? Or to NBC soon?
I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know. It got people excited because it kind of meant maybe NBC will be doing an original Harry Potter series.
Right.
Maybe not Harry Potter per se, but Wizarding World. That would not shock me because that's the one medium where the Wizarding World hasn't expanded into yet. We have a play, we have movies, we have video games, we have music, we have podcasts.
I'm not for that though.
No?
For a television show?
Well, it depends on what it would be about, I guess, right?
I guess. You got the casual vacancy.
I want the television show almost as much as I want the real life Hogwarts Hotel, where you can just go and it's like a real, place you can stay overnight and take classes. I really want that. And I really want just a completely open world, live the books video game, where you can it literally takes years to complete and you're at Hogwarts the whole time as a student. I really want that.
Can you imagine how great MuggleCast would be with a television show to talk about? Like 20 weeks out of the year?
It'd be
that would be
exciting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do a podcast about a television show that I've been passionate about, but I really haven't felt that way. So doing a podcast for that, for a TV show, a Harry Potter TV show or Wizarding World, oh man, that'd be so cool.
I think there's enough content, especially if you consider that you could filter in the professors, what they're thinking during the events of the first few years. Which, the shorter books, but if you have a character like McGonagall or Quirrell or Snape even, if you could somehow still preserve the mystery of Snape and show sort of more about what he's doing the first year, it could be really interesting early on, and then they could totally just have insane amounts of, copious amounts of content to pick from the later books.
Rusty, who is listening live on the Patreon feed right now, he says, my son and I went to see Goblet of Fire on IMAX, and on the way there, he said, put on the podcast. I laughed, and I did, so we ended up listening to MuggleCast, kind of like a warm-up / pump-up song before the big game.
Our patrons are far too nice for us. I think empirically they should be a lot meaner.
It's a really great community. It's super awesome.
Yeah.
And Allie adds, I also would love a TV show, not a Harry Potter show necessarily, but one set in the Wizarding World. That's what I'm for, I think, because I think a lot of people would get very nervous at the idea of them sort of rebooting the Harry Potter story. But if they maybe an Albus Severus Rose Granger Weasley
based off of Never Severus and with some girls thrown in for good measure to balance things out.
I mean, maybe something set after the events of the Cursed Child.
Yeah. Maybe. Something safe that could be interesting and could be still like I see exactly what you're saying. I think it would all be exciting, and I bet it will probably happen in our lifetime.
I think so as well. Okay, so moving on to a little news here. Let's start with Fantastic Beasts. Soundtrack information has come out. These, I always kind of hesitate to read the track lists because they can kind of give spoilers.
They really can, which is it's completely valid, and honestly, the reason I put this news post in the doc is because it is kind of a spoiler that I do want to talk about. It's just that there are certain beasts that get mentioned by name in these track titles. So the track titles, they aren't just the names of these beasts, but it's like so and so destroys a library, and it's like, you know, that creature listed. So it just kind of gives an inkling. I was worried, especially because of recent news, that the film wouldn't actually feature that many beasts. You just don't know, right? Because it can be, you know, they could have one big bad beast that he's trying to catch, and just like the Niffler as a sidekick. But it looks like, and without even giving the names, it looks like, you know, maybe 8 or so beasts are prominent enough that they are part of the soundtrack in name.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's good news.
A trailer, though, that had a number of beasts prominently featured.
Yeah. At least the Thunderbird, for sure, and the Niffler, I'm thinking of, were ones that we had already guessed at on previous MuggleCasts, and they're absolutely 100%. They're two of the creatures.
Well, I'm just looking some of these up, like the Erumpent. I remember seeing that in one of the trailers.
Yeah, it looks like a big rhino.
Yeah. So we can definitely expect to see quite a few. And now that it's expanding out to be 5 films, and we can talk about this later. And I know that in previous podcasts, we've talked about how this may stray away from being about Fantastic Beasts. That might just be the first movie, or maybe leak a little bit into the second. But it's always interesting to hear the musical score behind different creatures, and so if these are all tied to different moments in the movie, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's starting to feel real now. You know what else I've seen around town? Fantastic Beasts posters and billboards going up. Got one right down the street from me, actually.
They do really exciting stuff like that in LA because they don't have to go very far to like show their investors that they're doing that. But like in Chicago, isn't that why? But in Chicago, there's just none of that. Like
they advertise in major cities.
I expect bus stops, you know, by now. I guess I don't look. I gotta go look up some bus stops and see if they have anything. But
yeah. So some
other
nomage.
Yeah.
So that's why you can't see it.
Right, exactly. But I'm a wizard, so I can see them all. There is some more interesting Fantastic Beasts news, but we don't know a ton about it yet, but we did want to mention it because it's potentially going to be very cool. There's this mobile game coming for iOS and Android called Fantastic Beasts Cases from the Wizarding World.
Yeah.
What's this game what's happening in this game, Eric?
So what do you do? As you say, there isn't much news, but there is a full press release and game description, which I think is very titillating. So it's called Fantastic Beasts Cases from the Wizarding World. And there are 4 bullet points here. So in this game, you'll be able to master your magical skills as you delve into your wizarding world to investigate unexplained happenings. You're able to solve all new magical mysteries. Clues to unlocking the secrets of your wizarding world are hiding in plain sight. Only you have the skills and talent to find the answers as you dive into the elusive world of magical creatures. You'll cast spells, brew potions, and decipher hidden clues to investigate and solve all new mysteries. And then the 3rd and 4th bullet points are smaller. Help the Ministry of Magic. The Ministry of Magic is relying on you to crack the case as one of the brightest new recruits of the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures. It says from Nifflers to unicorns, centaurs to dragons, you protect them all. And also, it's got a social aspect where you're able to make magic with your friends. So this, Andrew, really reminded me of, honestly, like, you spent a good deal of time a couple months ago quashing the rumors about a Pokemon Go game, right? Because some guy was just like, oh, they're officially, right? He, like, created a false rumor.
It was a fake, yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Whatever this game is, it's been in development probably for at least a year. That's way before Pokemon Go became a major hit. They just would not have had time to create their own Pokemon Go type of game for this movie. Maybe they will in the next one.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that they are doing a game, because that's kind of what you do these days for big franchises. You release these apps and whatnot. The game looks interesting. I will definitely try it out, and I hope it is fun. I'm a little worried it's one of these pay-to-play games. I hate these games where you have to use real money to, I guess in the case of this game, add galleons by spending real money within the app.
Actually, that was answered. It is free to play. It's somewhere in the press release. I don't have it here, but it will be free to play. Okay. Which even still, you're right. Like even still, well, even Pokemon Go, right? You can pay for additional supplies.
Yeah, but you don't need it.
No. Like in most apps or most games will have in-app purchases, right? But this is, from everything I've read, it said it's free to play.
Okay.
Which is good. But the interesting thing though, real quick, is that, for this Fantastic Beasts game, it'll actually be set in the UK, it seems. They did mention the Ministry of Magic, not MACUSA. And according to, this is directly from the press release, Fantastic Beasts Cases from the Wizarding World enables players to delve into the Wizarding World as new recruits for the Ministry of Magic, visiting familiar locations like the Leaky Cauldron, Diagon Alley, and Hogsmeade, while exploring all new magical mysteries.
Okay, well that's good, because for Harry Potter fans it'll be very familiar places.
It looks like they really wanted to go back to or stay in sort of the safe territory as far as the world, but it's got something to do, obviously big enough to do with beasts. You're working for, creature enforcement.
Yeah. And I wonder, so the title is Fantastic Beasts, Cases from the Wizarding World. I wonder if, like, for future movies, because as we'll talk about in a little bit, I don't think all of these movies are going to be called Fantastic Beasts. Maybe they'll be called, Albus, Grindelwald, and the Hunt for the Deathly Hallows, Cases from the Wizarding World. I don't know, but I just think there's room here for.
You just like adding that at the end, huh?
Yeah, I just imagine that Cases from the Wizarding World is a generic kind of title thing that they can mix in with future movies, and this app can continue to see updates.
Interesting that you should use the word cases, like Newt cases.
Right. Well, and that's the title of this. That's what they.
Yeah. Oh, cases. Yeah. So it would be like, oh, I wonder if that's intentional. I just didn't make that connection.
Cases meaning like you're on a case, you're investigating.
Yeah. I want this to be like Carmen Sandiego, where it's all like very good art and sort of like a little bit like Pottermore, but like you show up and you have to like, interrogate people, but it's just them talking and you looking at the screen and like figuring it out. I want this to be very reminiscent of that.
Well, Carmen's in that image, it looks like. You included the tweet from. No, well, one of the things I wanted to say related to this game, I think it's really a missed opportunity, and I'm not saying that they're not going to do it on the part of Warner Brothers. If they don't actually do something related to capturing Fantastic Beasts in New York City, like you have the opportunity with all these locations, many of them are still around, like Central Park, like City Hall. I really do believe that even if it's a promotional stunt, they should do something in New York City with these beasts breaking out and escaping all over the place. I think it'd be really cool. It would draw a ton of publicity. And again, something may be in the works, but looking at this kind of a game really, it gets my creative mind kind of going.
No, that's exciting. I think you're right. I think you're 100% right, actually, especially because the New York opportunity is fleeting. It's not clear if any of the sequels will even be set here, or there. So I wanted to talk real quickly because there was an appearance on a radio stream that I made, and we sent out a couple promotion tweets on MuggleCast Social for Wizard Rock the Vote, which is actually it's a campaign that the Harry Potter Alliance is running right now, called Wizard Rock the Vote. And it's a big deal because they're promoting and getting people involved in, first of all, registering to vote, which by now many states have closed. It's too late to just register because election day is November 8th. But it's a whole campaign. There's a lot more going on. And so we wanted to mention, because our friends at the HP Alliance are very polite, have been very good to us. Please visit the hpalliance.org/rock the vote. That's rock with a W because it's Wizard Rock. And they have free resources for helping make democracy, quote, more magical, including their Granger Lovegood Field Training Series. Look, it's all good stuff being put out by some of our closest friends from long ago. And these people are making very active choices based on Harry's wishes and the messages of the Harry Potter series. So definitely go check it out. And this election season will be insane and crazy, and it has been, but please,
it is.
Yeah, it's too crazy to comprehend sometimes, but there's a safe place where you can do some good, and that's over on HP Alliance website.
It's so important for people to go out and vote. This is a great campaign that the HP Alliance has put together, and of course, we are impartial here on the show as to who you go and vote for, but I think regardless, it is important that you take advantage of the fact that you do have the ability to go cast your vote. Yeah, and do that on November 8th.
Yeah, and it's not just about the president either. It's about the down ballot candidates as well. So
there's a ton of interesting Senate races and lots of governor things you can do.
Yeah, and things in your state. I've actually enjoyed reading what's on the ballot this year in my state. So I actually got an absentee ballot because I will be on the East Coast on Election Day. So I'm going to be putting my vote in the mail soon. I'm excited. So yeah, everyone should go out and vote. Before we move on to discussing Fantastic Beasts being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movies,
ooh.
Eric, Harry Potter fans have a reason to pick up a new edition of Newsweek magazine, huh?
Yeah, Newsweek Special Edition is out and will be on store shelves for another month or so, but it's a Harry Potter special celebrating 20 years of the magic and mystery of J.K. Rowling. I actually picked up my copy earlier today. The issue is jam-packed with interviews from the cast and crew of Fantastic Beasts, of Harry Potter. You got, there's a Yates and Heyman interview. David's both of them, and it's actually all supplied with an introduction by Chris Rankin. But it's actually what I love more than anything about this article, about this Newsweek magazine special edition, is first of all the glossy paper. So it's I don't know, maybe I've never picked up Newsweek before, but all the images look amazing. And also that MuggleNet was actually able to help contribute to this magazine, and there's 2 articles inside Newsweek, one of them called Generation Potter, and the other one called Boundless Enthusiasm, which were written and or edited by our staff over at MuggleNet. So it was a great pleasure to work with Newsweek, but also I think this is a must-have for all Harry Potter fans because it's actually a really cool thing that exists now. And I think we can probably expect to see, Time Magazine doing what they do and Harry Potter issues of things in the future. But I can vouch just through skimming through it earlier this afternoon that it's got a lot of content that I think people would enjoy paging through.
I just actually had one quick question about this this magazine. Eric, you said you had a chance to skim it briefly. The interviews that you mentioned with Heyman and Yates, are they more reflective over the last 20 years and obviously for Heyman the work that he's done on all the films, or is it more a look ahead to Fantastic Beasts?
I want to actually say they stick with the present a lot. The way the articles are featured, it's very much set in this time and place. So the interviews with the cast from the Harry Potter films are reflective, because they're not involved with the current ones. And the interviews with the current ones are very reflective, like recently reflective. But Heyman and Yates toe the line very well of like present and past based on what the questions are. At least that was my impression. I could be completely wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. But check it out.
Moving on to our main discussion this week. There was this event for Fantastic Beasts in New York and London, LA and London, I believe, and it was broadcast around the world. And when they announced this, I was like, I don't really care. Like, it'll probably just be boring cast interviews. And I expected them to release a featurette, and they did, and it's great, by the way. But it got overshadowed by major news that made this whole event worth it. J.K. Rowling announced that she made a surprise appearance there, that Fantastic Beasts is the beginning of a 5-part film series. 5-part film series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't know the timing exactly yet. We know the first 3 movies are currently scheduled for this November, then November 2018, then November 2020. But after that, who knows? I mean, it could potentially could be looking at November 2022 and November 2024, which is so far away.
Or one of the films could be pushed back. You never know. I mean, this has happened before.
Or pushed up. They could potentially move into a yearly cycle if they're doing 5 of these. So,
at least 5, right?
No, she said 5.
Yeah.
5 for now until it's 7.
5,
right,
5,
exactly.
Well, there's going to be 5 part 1, and then 5 part 2, and then 6 part 1. And
right.
Or 4 part, I said that wrong. But anyway, there was, I think, for the one like major reaction to this is like, at least, okay, now we know, because remember when they announced it would be a trilogy, and we quoted it back on our episode titled Trilogy, that, what they said was it would be at least a trilogy, right?
Yes.
I think I remember that being the quote. So at least a trilogy was not as definitive as this, which is, it's 5 films.
Right.
Yeah. So now there's less question as to whether or not they will make more than 3. I think it's definitive that they won't.
There's less question, Eric.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah, I think there's a lot.
There's no question.
Bombs completely.
Right. Here's the thing. I think it's a little strange that they decided to announce this before the first movie came out because we don't know how well this is going to do at the box office. It isn't Harry Potter. Yes, it is J.K. Rowling. Yes, it's set in the Wizarding World. And many of us, including probably every single person listening to this podcast, are very excited for this series, for this first movie. But to say outright that there's going to be 5 of these in light of many missteps Warner Brothers has suffered over the past couple of years. Justice League has been off to a very bad start. There's been other things as well. I know there's at least one other example of this. But they haven't. Oh, The Hobbit. I mean, that was something that started with a bang, kind of, and then went out with a whimper. So I'm just worried right now. I'll feel better, I imagine. And here's the other thing. You gotta trust. J.K. Rowling seemed to confirm on Twitter that she is going to do all 5. Write all 5. So that's certainly good news. And I want to believe that if J.K. Rowling believes herself that this is worthy of of 5 movies, that's good enough for me. I don't need any more. Yeah,
that's what I'm seeing too. Like in the feedback that I'm reading, we got to take Joe's word for it, and or at least there's a quote from Heyman and Yates that say pretty much the same thing. Like, she's not doing this for the money; she's doing it because the story's good enough. But I do think there's something inherently weird about them announcing this before the first film is up, because it actually kind of sends the signal that it doesn't matter how well this film does, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like, yeah, you're right. But here's the other thing, and this is why I worry. It's because obviously Warner Brothers wants to do this. They want to continue creating Wizarding World movies between now and the rest of the time, because it doesn't matter how well the original 8 Harry Potter movies did. All that matters is what's coming up, how they can please investors next. And they got lucky in that J.K. Rowling, as she says in this featurette that was announced the same day we learned about the 5-part film series. She says that this is what she always wanted to write outside of the original Harry Potter story.
That sort of also bothers me.
Well, so here's the thing. You may be wondering, oh, well, then why would she want to write this? It seems so strange. Well, it seems increasingly likely that this is leading up, that this film series is going to lead up and into the Wizarding War in 1945. And if true, that would be
100%.
Major news.
Yeah.
It's also so interesting, though, because I feel like it's a bit of misdirection and not the fun kind. To begin the movies with Newt Scamander, this magizoologist who has to track some beasts down, right? And then to make this whole arc about about Grindelwald terrorizing Europe, as mentioned in the featurette that was screened. Like, that's kind of, I don't know, it doesn't equate necessarily to, like, what Newt has to do. And, like, will Newt become the action hero in the Dumbledore versus Grindelwald conflict?
But you don't see, that's the thing, is that you don't know the answer to that question yet.
Yeah.
He could very well play an integral role.
But it's weird, right? Like, you're starting a movie, if this is the era that J.K. Rowling always wanted to go to, and she always wanted to tell this story that presumably is leading up to the conflict in 1945, why start it in 1926 with a magizoologist arriving and catching some beasts? Like, it just feels like we were misled because the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them name was recognizable. Otherwise, you know, she couldn't make a movie called 1920s No Madges, or she couldn't make a movie called No Madge, the Flapper Experience, and had people come and see it.
Tell the story. I mean, I think that she knows best, and you know, she just said on Twitter recently that she finished writing the second film, or that she was done with the second script. So I know that she's somebody who definitely has a clear direction on what she's doing, and I'm sure this will all tie nicely together. I don't see this as being 5 individual films. I feel like these will all flow well together, and she has a history of being able to do that sort of thing, especially with Heyman involved and with Yates involved. And to me, though, really going back to the original point of this film and putting a lot of pressure on it to succeed, I tend to think that the first film will succeed. My concern is the follow-up, the second movie, because so much is being made about the first Fantastic Beasts film, right?
Yes.
You know, it's returning back to the Wizarding World. There's so much hype around it. It has that tie to be the next Harry Potter, even though it's not, right? All the buzz around it, I feel like it's just going to be such a huge draw for people, that the first Fantastic Beasts film, as opposed to the second one, where I think that's really where there's going to be a need to be a lot of work done, unless there's this massive cliffhanger that's going to keep people, you know, wanting to come back for more.
Well, I keep hearing that there's a big thing that happens in Fantastic Beasts, and multiple people have told me this now, and I
told you what it is?
No, they've said, do you want to hear it? Do you want to be wormed out?
Right.
And I say no, because I think I want to enjoy this twist in the theater myself.
That's the right answer. By the way, that's the right answer. But yeah. But
and since we are all seeing it a little early at this charity event in a few weeks, I feel like that's early enough where I can see it and then run home and be Wormtilly unhypable all over again.
I don't think it'll be wormed. Yeah. The thing that here was what my actual first thought was, right, when this was announced. I was like, you know, I wish then that they had fully abandoned Hedwig's theme for the soundtrack. If this is not sort of a lesser underneath the shelf of Harry Potter movie type deals, I wish they had fully broken into their own, you know, thing in the score, because just last week we got the soundtrack clip, which opens up with Hedwig's theme, and for months, of course, they've been doing it in the trailers. But if this was going to be a 5-film series, it kind of warrants its own completely different new theme, right?
Right, but I think in time it probably will get its own, hopefully. This is just a way to remind people that this is a Wizarding World / in a way, Harry Potter movie.
Yeah.
Then again, if Dumbledore and Grindelwald end up being important players overall, so that's what this seems to be leading to. And Eric, I know you wanted me to mention this theory. I was talking on Twitter with followers about this after this news was announced, and here's what Keaton said. He said, this is his theory, 5 films, 1926 through 1945, Newt's adventures and creatures get him swept up in both Muggle/Wizarding World history. Series ends with Newt helping Dumbledore defeat Grindelwald just as Voldemort graduates from Hogwarts in 1945. It works. It makes sense. I had thought that maybe we could get into the Wizarding War in the 40s before this was announced, but it did seem like a stretch because there's only 3 movies and like how fast are you going to jump ahead? But now 5 films. And I have to say the other very exciting thing about this is that if you just step back for a second and think about what makes up a movie, there's major events in movies like this, in fantasy tales like this. The idea that J.K. Rowling has 5 of these in mind is really stunning to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is I mean I think
in a good way.
I think it's clear that like this 5 film thing happened while she was deep in the knee deep in the woods of actually plotting out what story it was that she wanted to tell. And she knew somehow, although she's relatively new at screenwriting, that the story was so big, it couldn't be told in 3 films. And it needed 5.
Huh. Sounds like we've heard that line before.
Yeah, well,
due to the epic nature of the cursed child, it has to be 2 parts.
Stop.
To wrap everything up correctly, Deathly Hallows has to be 2 movies. And look, they were right, I think.
You know what's crazy though? David Yates was asked if this was a money grab, and he gave the same stock answer as always, which is that J.K. Rowling has more money than God. She doesn't need to do a money grab. He didn't actually say more money than God, but he said,
and he's right.
Yeah, well, he's right. He says, I don't think it was a business mandate because she doesn't need the money. It's both an affection for her audience and an affection for this world. And Jo has a whole wealth of material in her mind. So it's like...
Well, that's a good answer.
Mm-hmm. I think it's somewhat ridiculous for us to sit here and criticize the fact that she's going back into the wizarding world. And material when for so many years we've done this podcast and talked about how great it would be to get additional material.
There were 7 years without material, that we kept the podcast going.
Well, by the way, I'm not complaining. I think this is awesome news. I'm really excited about it. And of course, it's good news for MuggleCast. It's good news for the fandom on a whole, I think, so long as the story is good. I believe this is going to be a lot better than it's going to be better received than The Cursed Child is, because this is J.K. Rowling writing it start to finish. This is not somebody else coming to her with an idea. This is not somebody else, it's a whole new set of characters, still set in the Wizarding World. I think there's no reason yet to be concerned. Yet. We'll see. Maybe the movie won't be good, but I think it will be. I think Warner Brothers is feeling confident in it if they're ready to commit to 5 films. Elizabeth, listening on the Patreon stream, brings up a good point. She says, I think it could be good to announce it early. They have more time to plan, and they don't have to deal with the bad publicity of suddenly deciding to do more films if they announce it late.
Oh.
So she's arguing that, let's say it's a big hit at the box office. Then we see Warner Brothers say, oh, guess what? We're doing an extra 2. So there's going to be 5 total. Then people would say, oh, you're just doing that because the first one did so well. Screw you. This way, they're kind of, they're betting early. They're saying, We're confident this is worthy of 5. J.K. Rowling is as well. So we're doing 5 and screw y'all.
I just don't see the benefit of making the announcement now. I don't think you gain
I just
anything.
read it to you.
Yeah, you know what? That was really good. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying that I politely just disagree with what's being said. Like, okay. I don't think that there's value to saying we're going to do 5 films. It's just for the sake of saying it. Like, I understand getting ahead of potential bad PR, But then the flip side of that is what if the movie completely tanks and you're stuck making 5 films?
You know,
when you could have just kept quiet.
Here's the thing. I think it's not only do I think it's extraordinarily unlikely that this film will tank, although I'd like for it to exist on its own merits. There is that. Like, I want it to be good enough that it actually deserves existing, right?
Right. You don't need to call it from the Harry Potter world.
Yeah. But David Yates...
And we're cool, Elizabeth, don't worry.
David Yates has already confirmed a certain character. I don't even know if we should bring this up on the show, but it's in the doc here in this article. He confirmed a certain character will be in the sequel. A second one.
I think you can say it.
Okay. He says, the worlds of Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts are connected, and there are characters that exist in both. We hear of Dumbledore in this film, meaning the first one, and we see him in the next part of the trilogy. He teaches at Hogwarts.
Trilogy.
Oh yeah, this was back when it was still a trilogy, but Dumbledore was confirmed for Fantastic Beasts 2. This is still a quote.
Good.
Still a quote from Yates. He teaches at Hogwarts, ... The scenes Joe has written are lovely. The younger Dumbledore is delightful. He's very mischievous and enormous fun and a bit of a political animal. I'm yet to cast him. I've got a couple of ideas, though. They're already talking about, in the press, Dumbledore being in part 2 of this film, how he's going to be awesome and young. And so I think if this is any insight into what's on their mind, it's that they've managed to bottle fire again a second time, and they're just running with it.
Yeah. And I think it's good that they're waiting to put him in the second one, because I think naturally a sequel may not do as well box office wise, but if you are marketing it as here's Fantastic Beasts 2 with guess who? Dumbledore, and you see him. It's kind of like with Rogue One right now, that new Star Wars spinoff. Darth Vader is in it.
Oh yeah. And they keep showing him.
Yeah, they're using him in the promo stuff now. So that's kind of a way to draw people in to stick around.
So it's kind of like what I was saying before with the second movie really being the test, and already they're dropping these little bits of information to almost in a way ensure that it's going to have the same type of audience that the first one will. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Crafty Yates.
It'll be interesting to see if they keep Fantastic Beasts title. If I were a betting man, I would say that Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, like they're by movie 3, I'm gonna say they are gonna change the titles entirely, because it just doesn't make sense. If this is leading up to something involving Dumbledore and Grindelwald, it doesn't make sense to continue using Fantastic Beasts. But on the other hand, that sounds like a marketing nightmare, because you have a 5-part film series, but you're changing the titles midway through. I just don't know how this is going to work. This
is my main issue, and I know it's people are just wondering. I mean, I'm just curious. Like, will Newt be in all 5 films? I think he should be, but furthermore, also the 3 other characters that are confirmed to be main characters. They're calling them the quartet. Will this film series manage to work each of these 4 principal actors in? Because if it's taking place around the world, it doesn't seem likely that all 4 of these characters will always be able to travel together or always be able to be together. At least if it's Newt, then it's Newt. Like the Indiana Jones films, I keep comparing it to that. But main character in different areas of the world doing different things. But even that, how can it be Newt if it's a conflict between Grindelwald and Voldemort? Because I don't get the impression, Hufflepuff and awesome as he is, that Newt Scamander would have a dog in that race.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious. That's all.
Still involve him somehow.
Yeah. I'm just very interested in the fact that there seem to be 2 plot lines converging based on the weird promos that we've been getting. And it's what a time to be alive.
And I mentioned this earlier, but since we've been talking about it so much, we don't really have too much time to get into this further. The Fantastic Beasts featurette with new stuff from J.K. Rowling talking, at the beginning of it, you see the Hogwarts Express and stuff, which is pretty cool. And again, this is trying to drag Harry Potter fans into this new series, because that's really what this rides on. It rides on all those people who saw Harry Potter coming back out to see Fantastic Beasts. And I think we're not too far off from box office tracking. And these are reports that show the studio the awareness of the film so far, and they project how well the film is going to do at the box office. So it'll be very interesting to see how those tracking reports look. I think within the next week or two, we should be seeing them. And that'll tell us if this is going to be a big thing or not. And then maybe Warner Brothers will want to walk back that whole 5-part series. I don't think so, though. I think they're kind of desperate for. We know they have said multiple times over the past year or two that they have 3 tent poles right now. They are Justice League, Lego, yes, Lego, and the Wizarding World. These are the 3 that they do not want to ever end right now, because these are their big money makers. There's a Lego movie coming out, I believe, early next year. Of course, there's a ton of DC movies in the pipeline, and now we know there's 5 Wizarding World movies. But this isn't going to end. It will not end after this 5-part series, as long as J.K. Rowling gives them a thumbs up, because it doesn't matter how well, like I said, the 8 Harry Potter movies did, and the 5 Fantastic Beasts
I can't wait for
did.
the quotation from Joe to come in October of 2026, where she says, "This was always the second most likely thing I always wanted to do," when she announces...
I always wanted to write Kenilworth Wispies, whatever that guy.
Worthy Wisp, Kenilworthy Wisp.
I always wanted to write his story after I wrote Harry's story and Newt's story, and now here I am. And then in 2034, I always wanted to write the tales of the tale of Beetle the Bard.
That should be, we were talking about a TV series earlier, but I really want to see the Tales of Beetle the Bard adapted, each separately, like 45-minute, stories for like the BBC or something one day. That's what I want.
Didn't you do that down in Orlando?
No, I did. There was the Tales of Beetle the Bard that Lena wrote, but I think it was the Fountain of Fair Fortune specifically. But I was in a thing about the Marauders, which that's
no. I mean, when you were at the park, when you were with Celestina.
Oh yes, the Tale of the Three Brothers. We recreated. Yeah.
Is this getting too personal?
I don't know.
You just seem
I don't know what to say. Andrew's
awkward.
Confused. No, the what was he going to say?
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer it.
Where even was I? Gosh, now I'm overheating. Micah.
Wow. Okay, let's move on. Let's dig Eric out of this hole. I don't know what's happening. This is what happens when I let you guys have the reins for a minute or two.
Your mistake.
So let's do our question of the week. We asked on Twitter, twitter.com/MuggleCast. How do you feel about Beast being 5 films? What do you think will happen in them? Ruby said, I was dizzy with excitement when I found out. I would like to hear what countries y'all think they'll be in. Also, knowing that a Potter ancestor was an Auror in America, how do you think they will connect that if they do? Do you think they might show some kind of connection between Potters and a Gaunt that mark the 2 families' destiny together? Well, first of all, in terms of the countries, it did leak what country is next, but, well, I did tweet it and nobody complained. I think, apparently Paris is the next one. That'll be the sequel, which makes sense. Move back overseas.
Yeah, especially if they're talking, Yates has already confirmed that we'll see Dumbledore at Hogwarts. So the Europe connection, it makes a lot of sense.
He can take the Eurostar there. Is that what it's called? That thing that goes underwater?
Or his clean sweep. But yeah, as far as the Potters and Gaunts, tying in, that might be something for more down the line, but I am interested.
And I guess that keeps it fun for Jo if she's writing about entirely different countries with each movie. If that's what ends up happening, that could be refreshing for her, because not that she didn't enjoy writing Harry Potter, but she was stuck at Hogwarts basically that whole time.
And the other thing is this prospect of this Wizarding World War first one looming over us seems a bit depressing, but I still want these films specifically to be adventure films. And so gallivanting around the globe in these different capital cities, different ones, every movie and everything, is extremely exciting, and I think it evokes an adventurous sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I really do like the idea of being able to go to these different locations, whether, you know, you're going to Japan or Africa or South America. I think there's a lot of really cool creative opportunity in going to these different wizarding schools, which is definitely something that Newt would potentially do if he's chasing after different beasts. But again, I know that we've talked a lot about how the story may go in a completely different direction, but I do think that these wizarding schools, there's still a lot more to learn about them. So,
and not just the schools, the wizarding culture. I mean, they're all what are Muggles called there? What are Muggles called?
Stop! They're called Muggles. You know what I mean? They're called Muggles everywhere else except America. Stop! We're nipping this in the bud. They're nipping.
I bet you thought that before J.K. Rowling announced as such.
I did think that before J.K. Rowling announced.
No, I'm just saying. Wouldn't you want to go to Mahutakoro?
Yes,
that's the Japanese one, right?
I still want to visit Asia one day after my Ireland and Scotland trip.
Island. I mean, on top of a volcano, it sounds like. I mean. Yeah, there's a lot more to expect. More books, more movies, spin-off television series, maybe even a play.
I think, oh gosh, another play?
No, I'm just...
Not another one.
Christina says, I will be interested. It will be interesting how she incorporates Dumbledore and Grindelwald in any prequel connections to Harry Potter. I'm excited to see the stories of the core four evolve through the 5 parts. Additionally excited about getting the print screenplays for all 5 films. This is something, by the way, I want to talk about in bonus MuggleCast this week. The screenplays. We were speaking about this at LeakyCon. I think it's going to be extremely cool to have these screenplays available to us for purchase, because it's kind of like a whole other Harry Potter book. A whole new Harry Potter book. And I'll explain why in the bonus MuggleCast.
Okay.
Stephanie says, yes! Micah, can you do that, please? That word?
Yas.
Yes.
Yas. Anyway, she says, what do you think caused the extension? Maybe the Dumbledore and Grindelwald plot? Was that added in or planned? What do you guys think happened? I mean, we did, like Eric mentioned, originally we did hear at least 3. So maybe that has been the plan all along, certainly Dumbledore and Grindelwald, but then the story started expanding just like the play did, and before you knew it, it had to be 5 because J.K. Rowling she writes these incredibly rich worlds and she needs more time to tell the story. And of course, Dumbledore, of course, Warner Brothers rolled out the red carpet. They said, yeah, come on down, baby. Give us 2 more. Give us another $2 billion.
I think that's exactly how it happened. But yes, I honestly wonder if it wasn't making more room for Newt. I want to believe that she was like, okay, I've created this real fun character, and it was obviously at first a shoo-in to get into this whole Dumbledore Grindelwald thing, but now I've fallen in love with Newt and Eddie's portrayal of Newt, and I want to figure out more stuff that he can be doing. Like, I don't want this film quintology to get away from Newt. Personally, this is my opinion, but, you know, I wonder if she just had to come up with new things for him to do, and that was why it took longer.
Yeah. Okay. More tweets here. John said, I'm cautiously optimistic. I would prefer sticking to a trilogy. It'll be harder to make 5 awesome movies. Still excited, though. I mean, he brings up a good point. You got to make them awesome 5 times. That's, I mean, just think about the Harry Potter series. That's 8.
Yeah, but how many of them are good?
Well, right. That's my point. Like there was a misstep or 2 along the way.
Did you put your name in the goblet of fire? Sorry.
Right. I personally did not like movies 4 or 5.
Yeah. I liked 5, but yeah.
The key here, though, is that you don't have a basis of comparison, right? Because you're not going to be tying it to the books.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Critty says, it seems like a bit much. Maybe I'll be more into it if the first movie is good. Right now, I'm pretty skeptical. Alana says, if they suddenly change their minds and revealed that it'll be 7 movies, I'm out. I mean, honestly,
it's probably going to be 7 movies.
Right. Who would be surprised if it expands a couple more movies?
Or
None
8.
of us would.
Or 8. It should be 8 films because the other one was 8 films.
Justin says, excited to see greater Wizarding World and potential for growth on par with Star Wars universe. And then he shares the trademark, and he shares this trademark. It's actually been appearing on Pottermore, and I believe in the Cursed Child book, it's there too.
So it's just the WW?
Yeah, and it says J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World kind of like in a circle.
Like a stamp.
And that speaks to just like the Star Wars universe, that the Wizarding World is a universe. And it'll be printed at the end of the upcoming Wizarding World TV show, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well,
are you going to get it tattooed?
Oh, there we go. Maybe I'll get that WW tattoo. That'd be good because that's small. It'd be easy to put on.
It's smaller than the mic bolt. I wasn't thinking 7 or 9 years in the future when I got my mic bolt. I also wouldn't take it back.
Maybe I'll get a mic bolt, but it'll be smaller than yours.
I'm telling you guys, you should get the mic bolt. You should both get the mic bolt.
We also heard from our patrons. So over on patreon.com/MuggleCast, Grace wrote in to say that I hope it's one giant arc leading up to Grindelwald's fall. I want to see the global ramifications in a way we never got to see in the original Potter series. I'm also really intrigued by Graves. I really hope he's in multiple films, given his mysterious connection with the Deathly Hallows. I like that with these films. It feels like J.K. Rowling is giving this new series to us adults who grew up with Harry. Not saying there won't be stuff for kids, but overall this film so far has shown much more the tone of Order of the Phoenix and onward. It's all very exciting.
Yeah, because for one, these are adult characters now. We're not starting at the beginning of
Hogwarts. That's very true.
We're working with adults here, so that's nice. And like you say, Grace, the Deathly Hallows, it feels like this whole thing has a purpose now. Mm-hmm. Thanks to learning that Grindelwald is involved, and obviously the Deathly Hallows are involved as well. Because we've known, of course, this darn thing was really announced, in 2013, I think it was.
Probably.
And we were all like, okay, cool, but where does this go?
What's the point? How does it,
Yeah. And we've always heard J.K. Rowling say that she really wanted to write this, but we still didn't get why. And now we're starting to hear why. It appears to have deep connections to the Harry Potter series.
Yeah, it does.
I do want to read a couple of comments here from
Go for it.
The live stream. Colin, our friend, who's always commenting and who I love to tease, he says, second movie title, Fantastic Future Headmasters and Where to Find Them.
Yeah, I like
Hogwarts.
That. Yeah, Dumbledore at Hogwarts.
I joked on Twitter when this news came out that movie 5 will be called Deathly Hallows and Where to Find Them, in light of the Deathly Hallows news.
Yeah, well, the symbol's on Graves' poster, for crying out loud. What's that about?
Good, Micah.
We also heard from Megan, who said, I'm confused about why this is being announced so early, before the first movie is out, but I trust J.K. Rowling, despite Cursed Child, and I'm definitely excited. I hope each movie has an independent story, but that there's a giant story arc overall. I think this is developing a deeper sense of story for the Harry Potter universe, and just like all the extra Lord of the Rings material I enjoy reading, it will lead to a richer universe.
Yeah, at this point we know that Fantastic Beasts 1, there is an independent story there. Mm-hmm. The beasts are accidentally released from the suitcase. Presumably by the end, that whole situation is going to be under control, but getting into the giant story arc, there's going to be trouble between the wizards and the muggles. So Fantastic Beasts 1 does seem to have both things that you're looking for, Megan. And yes, I'm with you. I hope each one has the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as we're talking about content here of the actual film, and sorry if this has been mentioned, but has the movie been rated yet?
Maybe. I don't know.
That's a good question. I'm going to go on MPAA.org real quick while you guys are talking.
All right. Well, Park Scope jokingly wrote in, rather have 5 Fantastic Beasts movies than 3 Fantastic Beasts movies and 2 Cursed Child movies.
Zing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Irvin K., I'm excited because of lingering goodwill over the Harry Potter books. All the recent nonsense aside, J.K. Rowling always said 7 books, and she delivered 7 phenomenal books. if she says 5 movies and has a story outline that will take 5 movies, then I have faith that that's exactly the story that needs to be told. Knowing Jo, it will all be one incredible arc that demands to be binged once all the films are out.
Oh.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah. And just reading Irvin's comment there, it makes me think maybe they realize that Harry Potter fans are still as incredible as ever, still as passionate as ever, and that they could do 5 movies and that the fans would turn out for them.
The film is PG-13.
Oh, I can't see it. Darn, I need to bring my parents. No, well, good. I mean, it shouldn't be PG, and it can't be R.
Well, it's just like the last.
Sucks,
it's just like the last several. I think Goblet of Fire was the first one, but still, I think 5 went back to PG. It's just like the last few Harry Potters, which fits with the theme, as everyone was saying too, that it's starting out more adult.
Yeah. Okay, so that about does it for our main show here. We will be recording bonus MuggleCast. It's going to be available exclusively on Patreon. We are going to talk about how the number of films affects the fandom. You know, like, oh my gosh, we're going to be going into the year 2024 with all these potentially. And then I also want to talk about, like I said earlier, are we going to analyze the movie like we did the book? Like we did the Harry Potter books. Can we treat this as another Harry Potter book? And does the script book help us do that? And I believe so, and I'm going to explain why. But we also are running a contest right now. Can you guys fill us in on that?
Yeah, sure. So we're running a contest over on patreon.com/MuggleCast for patrons of the show. They can send in their best Potter Halloween costume or best Potter pumpkin carving, and the top 2 in each category will win copies of Chamber of Secrets, the illustrated edition.
Heyo!
And they can send those in up until midnight on October 30th. We'll make sure to announce the winners on Halloween appropriately. And so obviously a benefit of supporting the show is we run contests like this. Actually, this is the first one we're running, but we will continue to do things like this in the future. So, if you have those Potter costumes or you're busy carving out your pumpkins for Halloween and you're doing it Potter themed, you can submit for this contest.
Yeah, I've seen some of the pictures so far. They're really good. People are doing some good stuff, so it'll be hard to judge. And finally, just want to thank everybody who has decided to support us on Patreon. We are in the midst of planning some new ideas for those who support us. I'll tell you right now, we are probably looking to hire a editor to professionally edit the show, because when we move to weekly, obviously that's a big time commitment. And I've been editing the show for 10, 11 years now. And
he's reached the retirement age for podcast
I'm
editors.
retiring from editing. No, I do enjoy editing. It's just that it takes a lot of time, and I think it would be really great if we hired somebody to do it professionally, so every episode sounds amazing. And we're going to be able to do that thanks to patrons. And personally, I'm excited because I've been editing for 11 years, and it'd be nice to step back from that role. And the good thing is that with less editing duties on our end, we can spend more time actually planning the show and producing the show. And that's what I'm most excited about. So if you do have a couple dollars to spare on a monthly basis, we would really appreciate your support. Patreon.com/MuggleCast is where you can sign up. You get lots of benefits, including bonus MuggleCast, including talking to us during the live streams that we do with each episode, and a whole lot more. Thank you, patrons who have been listening. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I think let's see. So, looking at the calendar, maybe we got one more episode before Fantastic Beasts comes out.
Is it one more episode before our October or November Fantastic Beasts trip?
Yeah. Well, the event is Saturday, November 12th. Micah, please remind me to bring the tickets. It would suck if I left them here in LA.
Oh gosh. Mine are at Will Call, guys. You should have just done that.
No, they're physical. They're physical tickets. I'm flicking them right now.
Maybe you should mail them to your parents' house, and just so they have them.
It's okay. I will take them with me in my book bag. Hopefully. But yes.
And just around the New York City event, I know last episode we talked about doing some sort of meetup, and I think that is still in the works, and we will share information as soon as we figure out exactly what our plans are, but definitely want to put together an informal meetup for all the MuggleCast listeners that will be in attendance. And so just keep an eye on our MuggleCast Twitter and Facebook. We'll post details there as they become available.
Yeah, and then finally, I would just say that in terms of November, what we'll be doing show-wise, like I said, we do have one more episode before we, the three of us, see Fantastic Beasts, and I'm sure we'll try to put together like maybe a spoiler-free episode and then a spoiler episode. And so we'll have that episode before Fantastic Beasts, then after, and I don't know, maybe we can do 3 episodes in November. Why not? Why not?
Why not?
Why not? I mean,
it's not as if it's the first Harry Potter movie to come out in, a decade.
Hey, right. Andrew, I got an idea. Let's do 5.
Let's do 5 episodes. How about we start a patron fundraiser? If we get to our goal in like the next 2 weeks, we'll do 5 episodes in November. Thanks again, everybody, so much for your support. It's been great. See you next time for 304. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.